In this Python tutorial, we're going to write a program that will ask the year we were born in, and then it will calculate our age and print it on the terminal. So let's start with our input function, input. Let's print birth year, followed by a colon and a space. Now let's get the return value and store it in a variable called birth underline year. So as I told you before, we use an underscore to separate multiple words. Next, we need to calculate the age. So we define another variable called age, and here we do some basic math. Currently, we are in 2019. So let's write an expression like this: 2019 minus birth year. Now, finally, let's print age on a terminal. Let's run our program and see what happens. So my birth year is 1982. Enter. Oops, we got an error. What is going on here? So whenever you see this red message, that means there is something wrong in your program. With the information here, we can find exactly where the error occurred. So next to the file, you can see the file that generated this error. In this case, that is app.py. So currently our program has only a single file, but real complex programs often have hundreds or even thousands of files. So in this file, on line 2, this is where we got this error. And right below that, you can see the piece of code that generated this error. So that is where we're calculating the age. And right below that, you can see the type of the error. In this case, we have a type error, and here's the message: unsupported operand types for subtraction, int and stir. So int is short for integer, and that represents a whole number, and stir is short for string. So here we're subtracting a string from an integer, and Python doesn't know what to do with it. Let me explain. So I'm going to close the terminal window. So after the first line is executed, we have this birth year variable set to a string. So whatever we type in the terminal is always treated as a string, even if we type a number. In other words, when we run this program, this birth year variable will be set to a string with 4 characters, 1982. This string is different from the actual number 1982. One is an integer, the other is a string, right? So back to line 2, where this error occurred. At runtime, which means when we run our program, this expression on the right side of the assignment operator is going to look like this: 2019 minus string 1982. Python doesn't know how to interpret or how to evaluate this expression. To fix this problem, we need to convert this 1982 into an integer, and then we'll be able to subtract it from 2019. And that is very easy. So far, you have learned about 2 built-in functions. One is print, the other is input. We have a few more functions for converting values into different types. So we have int for converting a string into an integer. We also have float for converting a string into a float or a number with a decimal point. And we also have bool for converting a string into a Boolean value. So to fix this problem, we need to go back on line 2 and pass this birth year variable to the int function like this. Int parentheses like this. So we pass this string to the int function. Int will convert it to an integer, and then Python interpreter will be able to evaluate this expression. Now let's run this program one more time. So birth year is 1982, enter. So I am 37 years old. In Python, we have a useful function for getting the type of variables. For example, let's print the type of birth year. So right after line 1, let's print. Now here we're going to call another built-in function called type. And now let's pass birth year. Okay. Now similarly, after line 3, let's also print the type of age. So print type of age. Okay, let's run our program. So birth year, one more time, 1982. Okay, here's the result. So the type of birth year, as you can see, is a class of stir or string. We'll look at classes in the future. So for now, don't worry about them. And also below that, you can see that the type of the age variable is int or integer. So here's what you need to take away. Whenever you use the input function, you always get a string. So if you're expecting a numerical value, you should always convert that string into either an integer or a float.